So everybody's talking about these tapes. Well, there's somebody else that was on the Celebrity Apprentice who spent time with Donald Trump, and I happen to know that he feels passionately about Donald Trump, and not in a positive way. He thinks Donald Trump is not the guy he would have voted for. I know that I'm sure that many of his friends would be like, you have to speak out. You could make a difference.
Right.
Okay. He was asked, so what about, is there a tape? I mean, you were there. You were, on the Celebrity Apprentice. Do they have a tape? Quote, I was in the room. So you heard him say, oh yeah. Can you tell me what you heard him say? No. If Donald Trump had not become president, I'd tell you all the stories. But the stakes now are too high, and I am an unreliable narrator. What I do, as much as anything, is I'm a storyteller, and storytellers are liars. So I can emotionally tell you things that happened racially, sexually, that showed stupidity or lack of compassion when I was in the room with Donald Trump. And I guarantee you that I will get the details wrong. I would not feel comfortable talking about what I felt I saw in that room. Because when I was on that show, I was sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night. I was uncomfortable. Stress is the wrong word, but I was not at my best. Then at the end of the day, they put you into a room and they bring out a guy, Donald Trump, who has no power whatsoever. He's capricious and petty. And the interviewer says, and you have to pretend to care what he thinks. Yeah, because that's your job. You sit at a table and this man rambles, pontificates. And he's given too much credit. And because you live in the modern world, you've heard Trump ramble. You've also heard Trump ramble when he thinks he's being careful. Imagine when he feels he can be frank. And I will tell you, but I will be very conscientious not to give you quotations because I believe that would be morally wrong. I'm not trying to protect myself. This is really a moral thing. Reporter says, so just to make sure I'm clear on this, it would be wrong if you misquote him because you don't want to have an unduly have an effect on politics. If he hadn't have become president, I would be telling these stories all day long. And if someone were to say, Penn didn't get that exactly right, you'd go, who cares? But now being accurate matters. The stakes are really high. Not for me. Nothing I say here hurts my career. But for the world, the stakes are higher. He is the president, and he would be reading. And what I'm trying to do here is to tell you the story emotionally without giving you any specifics. I think this is heroic. Here's a guy, when the rest of the world is taking things out of context or ignoring, Chris Cuomo, ignoring things about people that should not be ignored, Antifa. But because they're the enemy of your enemy, you make them your friend. Here's a guy who says, I don't want any part of this. Yes, I saw things, but I interpret things emotionally. And I can tell you what I felt, but I can't tell you what he said because I don't know if I'll remember it right. Do you listen to Malcolm Gladwell's podcast?
I've listened to some of it, yes.
So his last season of podcasts was
Revisionist History.
Revisionist History, and it was it was all about lying. And
I heard the Brian Williams episode of this.
That's only the beginning of it. He shows that people's memories are not accurate. And he shows that, they did studies on 9/11. They're still doing these. They talked to people right after 9/11. Where were you? What happened? What did you say? Who did you talk to? What was around you? Then they come back every 5 years and they say, what did you see? Well, 10 years into it, people are starting to look at the statements that they made. They made them right after 9/11. And they're coming back and they're saying, I don't know why I said that because that's a lie. I wasn't there. I'm telling you, I was with this person and we said this. And they fully believe that that's where they were 10 years later. And they can't figure out why they would have said that. Well, I must have been in an emotional state because that's not what happened. And it's honest both times. And this, I'll bet you he's listened to he's probably so smart, he probably wrote the research Malcolm did on this. But that's what he's saying. I don't trust my own memory. And I shouldn't have a place at the table. Don't trust anybody because we're all storytellers. By the way, the hero, Penn Jillette.